Thanks for coming in. Hope you're all safe and well. And I'm welcome. I'll start again. I'm going to welcome back two very esteemed gentlemen from the world of film. We have Mr. David Espinosa and Mr. Craig Arhens, co-founders of CRA. I'll get it right, guys. Sorry, CRA Entertainment. We've known Craig and David for quite some time now, and we're very, very fortunate. We will call them friends, and they've helped us on our Wallace Trail and other bits and pieces. So it's good to have these gentlemen back. How are we, guys? Good. You look very well.
Yeah, we're doing good. Thankfully.
There's a Laura saying hello. Gaffer, that's what they call me, the gaffer. I don't know if you use that word in the States. I mean, he's doing in the film industry. He's not a gaffer or something in the film industry. I was saying before we started, it's been nearly a year since I had you guys on.
Wow.
It's been a while. Yeah.
That's a fast year.
As a fact, well, I mean, we're nearly halfway through February, just with Christmas, which is last week. You know. I'm kind of halfway through February, but I didn't realise it'd been that long. So my apologies, gents, for not forgetting about you, but for not having you on.
My dog wants to join us. Come on in. Come on in.
He's our only fan.
Is he?
Come in, Riley. Riley, come on in.
Without that dog, we don't have anything to offer, man. That's it.
Oh, that's very optimistic, David, isn't it?
He's a good dog. You should see him.
I can't see him. The door just opened and shut again, so you know. We actually got a puppy about 2 months ago, a wee Jack Russell. So you might see him.
Nice.
You might see him appearing.
I love those dogs.
No, it's they're like bullets. It's full of energy. It's non-stop. You know, he was about 5-6 months when we got. I was a woman down the autumn, so we took him, and he's hard work. He's really, but love him. You know, so he might make a wee appearance up and down this way here. Don't know. To be fair, you had a pretty stressful few months June to September. Well, we did June to September was the big build up to the wedding, so there was a lot kind of going on over this side of the pond. So if you see a wee Jack Russell wandering up doing that, he's ours. But we love him when he's sleeping. That's the best thing. Or he's out in the garden, you know. That's the best time to have a dog. So what's been happening, guys? Craig, I know you've been involved in quite a few bits and pieces.
Yeah, I've been acting. And David, who has an extensive background as an acting coach. Oh, Riley you can't see her. Riley, my Doberman has her head on my leg, which is
Doberman. Are they the big kind of black dog things?
Well, I get my dogs through Irvine Shelter, which is not far from where I live, and I don't do the puppy route. I don't, it's just myself, and I don't care to go through the whole puppy stage. But sorry, I was just a little distracted. But David was instrumental as far as the couple of films I've been in here of late, coaching me. And with my easy-go-lucky disposition as an actor, it takes a good amount of patience. Well, David's not really blessed with a lot of patience when it comes to me, so he's pretty much right in my face, which is really necessary to get my attention. But David has an extensive background as an acting coach for some of you that may not know that. So it was very instrumental with the roles that I've had as an actor. So one film, Henry, I don't know about the UK, but it's set to come out theatrically here in the States within the next maybe 2 to 3 months. And a film that just wrapped a few weeks ago, Falling West, is in the early stages of post-production, and I play a very slimy pool hall owner. Yeah, slimy is a really key word there. But David was instrumental in both the audition process and then the character development thereafter. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, I just provided the slime.
Huh?
I just provided the slime.
Yeah, and I took it from there.
So, Craig, is David a hard taskmaster?
Yes.
Yes.
But it's really necessary with my personality, and that's effective. Yeah.
I think I've said this to you guys before. I mean, we've known you for, I don't know, 3-4 years now. It's been, I was going to say a long time. That makes it sound, boring and stuff. It's been quite some time. And I have said this to you before in another show. I love the relationship you two guys have got together. Because David, and I don't take this personally, Craig, it's not me personally, but David seems to be the sort of commanding one, and you're the kind of chilled, laid back guy. Am I right in saying that?
Well, it's more like Abbott and Costello. If you really look at it, you think about it. I'll kind of leave that to your imagination. But
well, I think if I may, that our personalities are a lot more similar than people are led to believe. And I think why this really works well for both of us, that we are brutally honest. And if one of us doesn't like something, it's on right now. We don't attack each other, but we tell the truth. If I don't like something, I'm straight up, that sucks. David will always know where I'm coming from, and vice versa. And we don't sugarcoat it, Scott. We are two passionate guys. And that's it.
I thought you were going to say too old.
That's it. I don't need to state the elephant in the room. They can see that for themselves, brother. I don't need to say, "Hey, I'm old over here."
I'm not going to ask you the oldest between you. That's Craig. That's Laura's other half saying evening.
Hi, Craig.
But no, I think that's the way it should be. And especially in your line of work, you're making films, so you're working together quite a lot every day. Basically, you're in each other's pockets, so to speak, in a good way. I don't mean you're dipping, pickpocketing or whatever. But I think you need to be brutally honest, especially when it comes to your line of work.
Yeah.
Because Craig, you might have an idea that say, right, let's do it this way, and David's said, correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, because I'm by no means an expert. And then David might think, oh no, that's rubbish, but I don't want to say him.
I got to be honest, I have another interest in it. It's that, we do this for money, and Craig gets paid, and when he gets paid, I get paid. And if he don't get paid, I don't get paid. So I'm like, Craig, what are you doing? You're messing with my money.
Well, yeah, he what he's saying, Scott, he gets a cut of the action. So I can't screw this up for both of us. David's got skin in the game. So, yeah.
So you need to do as you're told. Laura saying there's a man after my own heart. It's out of the mouth before it hits the head.
Well, I'll put it in perspective, Scott. A number of years ago, you may or may not know this, I appeared on Criminal Minds. I don't know if Criminal Minds is popular there in the UK, but it's still, I believe it's popular here in the States. And an acting class I was in years ago, they were celebrating and brought a cake in. And this one actor there came to me after we had cake. And he says, Craig, I need to ask you something. He goes, I'm not really booking anything. And I corrected him. I said, you haven't booked anything. And he goes, yeah, okay, I haven't booked anything. And he goes, why do you think that is? And I thought he was just like being funny. And I said, Eric, you have no idea why you haven't booked anything? And he goes, no. And I said, it's because you're not good. And he just stared at me. And I said, why are you just staring at me? And he goes, well, nobody's really said that to me like that. I said, really, you had no idea why you haven't booked anything? That never once crossed your mind? Anyhow, we had a great open conversation thereafter. I said, you come into class, you're not prepared, blah, 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 blah. But I said, you need to fix this. But David and I talk about this all the time. That's the disingenuous part about our industry. Everybody is so busy kissing each other's ass. Nobody has a real conversation of saying, dude, there's a reason why a DiCaprio is walking the red carpet up at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. And there's a reason why everybody is watching it. So figure it out, you know? David, you might want to add to that, because I get a lot of this from you that, David and I talk about acting all the time. And there's a reason why people buy a ticket. And there's a reason why people are on film,
Well, I think Craig said something that's rather important. He said disingenuous. And, I don't necessarily think that they are trying to be phony, but that they're more in love with the fact that they're involved in art, as opposed to being in love with the art that's within them. So they want their picture taken all the time. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Yeah. And I talked about this with other actors in terms of being in a scene. Yeah. And how do you really be engrossed in the scene, so into it that nothing else is paying attention, period. Yeah. There's no other distractions. And I know that most of the time we see actors who will position themselves, they're very camera aware. And I don't necessarily want actors to be camera aware. That's the cameraman's job and my job as a director. I want them in the scene. So oftentimes, if they're camera aware, that means they're out here in the audience behind the camera, looking at themselves and asking, am I turned out correctly? Should I maybe turn myself out a little bit more? They're doing things like that in their head, which is self-directing. And you can't. Go ahead.
No, sorry, Dave, don't you go.
Well, that's a critical problem, and one of the things Craig was alluding to is this industry, unlike a lot of other industries, has a glamour aspect to it that people naturally just gravitate to like moths to the light. What they don't understand is that sometimes it's hard work for that moth to get close enough to the light. And if it gets too close, it gets burned and it's dead. You got to be careful about that. So you have to prepare. You have to do the work. This is where they fail. And this is what I love about working with Craig. As an actor, he understands that. And he knows the work is where it's at. People say, oh, well, I memorized the lines. Oh, okay.
Well, David, since you mentioned that, look at how much time you and I have spent going over the techniques that you have in memorizing lines. I mean, people just take for granted actors memorize lines. That's no joke.
They just don't know. And here's the other thing. There's always the unfortunate gamble that actors take hiring coaches who will help them with auditions, coaches that will help them with
Just one second, guys.
script analysis,
Just one sec.
character
I need to
analysis.
plug in my battery. Just one sec, guys.
Okay. They'll do that. They'll hire all these various coaches, voice coaches, scene study coaches, character development, scene analysis, audition techniques. And it's always paid up front. There's no gamble for the coach.
He's paid either way.
They get paid either way, win, lose, or draw. It don't matter. Once you get at, oh well. Well,
You think he's
I like an idea that we put together, and actually it was Craig's idea. That why not work with these actors, and I'll help you understand your audition. I'll help you through the audition.
Yeah.
I'll help you through the scene.
Yeah.
And if you get the job, then when you get paid, you pay me.
Yeah.
If you don't get paid, I don't get paid. Kind of like a contingency fee acting coach.
I do. I like that idea. Craig, so very popular UK. You talk about Criminal Minds. I used to watch it, but then I stopped watching it. I've gone back quite some time. No offense to yourself, you know. But now I'm going to go and look up YouTube or whatever, try and find during the episodes of Criminal Minds. But no, it's quite a big show over here. But, I mean, you were saying with all these coaches, you know, that you get. Do you think they do? Somebody started out in the film business, you know, wants to be an actor and stuff. Do you think they do these people any justice? You know, or because I would imagine, again, I'm not an expert, but I would imagine that every coach has a different way of working and a different point of view. And so to me, they're filling this young actor, should we say, head full of do that this way, do it that way, you know. But what they really need, what this young guy really needs is somebody who is seasoned, who's been in the business a long time and has done, you know, every kind of aspect in the business to sit down and say, right, don't listen to them. This is how it really is. This is the real world. You know.
I absolutely hear exactly what you're saying, and I agree. I've had a lot of different acting teachers, various directors I've worked with, and I came down to one understanding about acting teachers. If they can't do what they're claiming can be done, get up and walk. Because otherwise, all they're doing is padding you along and pretending, oh, you're making such good progress. Oh, that was so good. No, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. It becomes noise. Yeah. No, I don't do that. I think it's important to be able to not just help an actor understand a process, but to demonstrate it, to show it.
Yeah.
I can do and will do everything I claim to be can be done down to the tears. And I can show actors how to do it from step one. It's actually more simple than we realize. We complicate it due to fear of being judged, fear of doing it wrong, fear of not looking good enough, fear of, oh my God, it goes on and on and on. Yeah. So the biggest thing I try to teach actors is to quit giving a damn about what people think about you. That's the first thing. And I won't demonstrate it here for you today. I have before on your show about what a director once told me. Until you can stick your finger up your nose.
No,
I won't do it. But until you can, then you really don't understand what we're talking about here. You know, it's that simple.
It's just be yourself kind of thing. Don't try to be Jack Nicholson or
right.
You know, Tom Cruise or, you know, just be yourself. What you were saying about, you know, these red carpet events and people acting, they're more camera conscious, you know, up here they're thinking about the camera. And what I think would happen in that kind of aspect is they're thinking it up here, you know, is this a good angle for me? At the same time, their body subconsciously reacting. Yeah. They might glance at the camera a couple of times.
And that's
You
the
know,
self-directing, that I was discussing. And you're right, being yourself. And there's two types of actors. Well, actually three. Those that can't act, those that can, and they're believable, and those that can and are believable and can become a different personality,
Yeah.
a different persona. Those are the great actors in my book. Those are the ones that can actually suspend your imagination to the point where you believe there's somebody else.
Yeah.
But if you
I
can,
think that.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, on you go, young sir. Carry on.
Well, I was going to say, if you could just be believable, you'll be marketable. That's the first thing. And you mentioned people like Tom Cruise is always Tom Cruise. He's always Tom Cruise. There's actors like Dustin Hoffman who can actually change their personality, their persona,
So true.
can become somebody else. And there's great actors who are always the same. They're always the same no matter what they're in, but we love them anyway.
Yeah.
Because they're fun to watch. They're believable as hell. And that's okay. But I think what's important is what you were commenting on. How do you get yourself out of being worried about what you look like and rather being involved in what you're doing? Well, I teach a process like that to do that I was taught by a pretty well-known acting teacher of the 60s and 70s, Jerry Gardino. He's passed away. But it was an enlightening experience meeting this man. And I had already trained with various actors in Stanislavski method, etc. And he took that one step further and broke it down to something really simple. Human nature and actions, and defining what you're doing as a human being in communications. What you're actually doing to somebody, not what you're saying. What does I love you mean? It could mean I care about you a great deal. But it could also mean I'm getting ready to kill you, depending upon what I'm doing when I say it. Am I threatening you? Am I teasing you? Am I flirting with you? Am I begging you? Am I pleading with you?
True enough, it's one line that can have so many different meanings.
Absolutely.
Wallace, a couple of comments, stick them up. I get back to what you were saying, David. You sound like Scott. Scott gives me a story to write for PIH. In Scott's mind, it's easy. Say Henry VIII. To me, it's complicated until I realise Scott's wanting my angle, my thoughts, my perception.
Good.
Well, like I said, Henry VIII, so working with a partner is beneficial. It's realistic. It's a reflection on yourself and your own abilities.
And just keep an eye on your head and you'll be in business. Unintended.
That's just we were saying, again, just get back to the sort of camera angles and stuff. I don't know, I'm Glaswegian, so we're not the brightest of people, but however, I would imagine, you get this young actor who's going to do his first scene, he's been in makeup and had all his bits and bobs done. To me, rather than bother how you look on camera, before you go on the set, whatever, take a look in the mirror and say, right, okay, and then just go and do your thing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You have to have a camera check. Yeah. We bring you out. Let's see what you look like under the lights. Let's see what you look like framed up. Are there any shadows? What's happening here? Are we getting any bounce light off your nose, your forehead, your chin, your cheeks?
We get plenty of light off of that.
Hey, nice though. No shininess. I like it. No bounce light.
That's just because the lights are dim in here. You like even the main lights on. It's like,
you're right. Yeah, you're exactly right. You want to do that. The costume and everything. That's what I loved about training in theater is that they went through such detail, such meticulous detail for the first curtain on the very first opening. You work towards that momentum. Maybe you have a few months of rehearsals, where you're rehearsing 6 days a week for, 7-8 hours a shot. And then you come to that crescendo where the curtain's coming up and everything happens. Lights, sound. I mean, it's right there. Boom. And you can't take that back.
It's everything. It's 7 or 8 months of rehearsals. It's everything you've been rehearsing for, learning lines, etc. And then it comes at one moment you think, you stand in front of that curtain maybe 5 seconds before it opens, and you realise this is it. Once that curtain opens, there's no going back.
You either have it on or you don't.
That's it. You either suck eggs or you get a standing ovation, basically. You're lucky Sarah and I are the clever ones and beautiful ones, Scott.
That sounds like an invitation. I won't take that wrong, but that certainly sounds like an invitation.
I'm the tall, weird one. Craig's about 6'5" or something.
I don't know.
And he's quite
like
quiet.
Matter. I don't know.
There's only one way you can take that, David, and beautiful ones just referring that I'm not the beautiful one. People bother about their looks too much these days. You just must get that in the film industry as well. What we're talking about, is my cheeks too fat, or my bum too big, or, stuff like that. Somebody's a lot of vanity driven.
What do you think, Craig? Vanity driven?
Maybe in some cases. I look at the original acting class I had, and you would see there was no shortage of good-looking guys and attractive women. But if you look at a lot of great actors, rest his soul, but I think of Philip Seymour Hoffman. In real life, you wouldn't look at him twice. On film, he is captivating. He will, any scene he walks into. Jack Nicholson, real life, you wouldn't look at him twice. But I think a lot of these younger actors, everybody has just swooned over them, so to speak. But a great actor, end of the day, that's how you build a career. Your looks are always changing. So I don't think it's necessarily about vanity. I think it's just something that it's the art within the person that propels them, that they want to create. I think it's the art within the person.
I think it's great. I know, so say earlier on about TikTok and what have you, and over there has been a lot of controversy about it. There's a few TikToks I've watched with, like Keanu Reeves, Adam Sandler especially. The way he dresses when he's outside with the big long baggy shorts and the hoodies and all that kind of stuff. And he just walks about, Hollywood, wherever it is he stays, and there is one video he's in some kind of taking McDonald's or something like that, and he's just standing at the counter ordering something to go. I mean, this guy's a major star, and he just walks about Hollywood, and you wouldn't look twice at him. As you were saying, Craig, Keanu Reeves, there's things of him sitting on a subway, just sitting there reading a newspaper. And you think, that's Keanu Reeves, but it just blends in. The amount of people actually walk by him and don't realise it's him. And I think that's great. I think that's part of being a real actor, a professional. You're no going outside saying, oh, look at me. I've done 25 films, and why he's no wanting my autograph and stuff. Just a guy who, he may be a legend in the film industry, but the other side of the door is he can go out and get a McDonald's the same as anybody else and no bother with it. There's a daughter saying hello as well.
Where do you fall in on this, David?
I agree with Scott. I think he's absolutely right. I think there's that, again, it gets to what we discussed earlier relative to types of actors. There's those that want their picture taken, and then there's those that can't help themselves.
Yeah.
artists, in my opinion, can't help themselves. Their art creeps out, jumps out, screams out, comes out no matter how much they fight it. No matter if they try to suppress it and do something else, it finds a way to express itself. And those people aren't looking to have their picture taken. They're just looking to express and create. And that is the difference, I think. The Keanu Reeves actors. And don't get me wrong, I like watching Keanu Reeves, but I will argue that he is not a great actor. He's a good actor. And I like watching him. I watch his movies.
Yeah.
You know, Point Break. I thought he was good in Point Break. But you can expect Keanu to be Keanu.
Right.
That's my point. But he's still worth watching. You know, so it's a strange industry. There's people who do daytime soap their whole lives.
Yeah.
They're one character
That's
in
right.
a soap opera for 30 years.
Right, man.
Whoa. I mean, okay. I certainly have no opinion on how or why. I have an opinion on what I think is real art and what I think is wannabe famous. The two differences. And I've worked with actors both, you know. Craig is a spontaneous actor. His training has come from being aware on set. Because he's told me, he goes, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just kind of like watching everybody and listening to everything and just trying to react appropriately. Well, that's what you should be doing.
You want a sort of natural actor. You know, I always remember Craig, the homeless guy who popped out of a bush. I'll never forget that scene. You know, I think that was the first time I seen him. Just this poor homeless guy that David had dressed up and said, right, go hide in a bush.
Yep,
you
that's
know.
it. And that so he was easy to work with because he understands. But what the hard part for any actor, because it was for me, was to tell myself I'm not some creative genius. I have to work at it. And so when I had the opportunity to study with actors or coaches or directors who actually could do it, I was like, whoa, they don't just talk the stuff, they can do it right there, right now, right in front of you. And they weren't famous people, but man, they could put it right out there in front of you. So I love that. You know?
David, to your point, reminded me, this was a long time ago. I don't remember the film, but at the end of the scene, this actor came over to me with a bit of an attitude. And whatever it was I did, I don't remember what I did. He goes, well, you know, that wasn't written in the scene. And you know, with my personality, right? And I said, yeah, I know. What's your point? Just stared at me. I said, again, at the sake of repeating myself, do you have a point? I walked off. And like what you're saying, he had the whole scene in his head. But like what you said, David, that's a really key point in life. And for me, and I'm really glad you mentioned that, David, a scene is life. That you have words on the page, and so long as you don't go way to F out there, shit happens in life and shit happens in a scene. And if something just organically happens, something happens, and you do it. I mean, that was the way that I first came into acting. But this actor was just so. This is how you do it, evidently. And I'm glad you mentioned that because it really hit home. And I found it hotly annoying. Number one, an actor coming to another actor. My attitude is always kind of short of go F yourself anyhow.
Hey,
And
life's improvisation.
what's that?
Life is improvisation.
Amen, bro. Exactly, David. I wake up in the morning. Number one, I thank Jesus. I open my eyes, and from that point on, I'm ahead of the game. That's a good day.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I'm glad you said that. I've never got over that experience. So somebody saying that was not written in the scene. It's like, no shit. It wasn't like a big deal. It was just something I did, whatever it was. But
So many major actors: Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams. Absolutely. They got their own script in their head, what they were going to say. Marlon Brando never had an idea for the most part. He had the essence of the scene. He didn't have the words down. And oftentimes somebody had to wear the damn words on a plaque.
All over them.
All over him as he's doing the take. So,
well, the first thing what De Niro does is, no, not De Niro. Yeah, De Niro takes the script, starts marking out the words. And who's going to tell him no? Good luck.
You know,
no, I don't. To me, the sign of a good actor isn't how big how big a name he or she is in the entertainment industry. You know, it's how they draw you in, how they make you believe that the character they're playing. You know, like say, I mean, I'll give you an example. Friends, right? I don't know if you liked Friends or not. You know, that ran for 10 seasons, but the 6 people in it, I would call it stereotyping, but not because I mean, you know, like Matt LeBlanc, he'll always be known as Joey Tribbiani. You know, because you actually believed his character. You know, and I know they've all went on, you know, Matthew Perry, God rest him, but they've all went on to their own careers, films and that. But when you see them, you always just associate them with being Rachel or Ross.
Yeah.
And they made you actually believe that they were like that in real life.
You know, interesting you say that because I totally agree with you. And that's also a nightmare for a lot of actors. They get boxed into a caricature after that. The gentleman who played in Psycho, who played the bad guy, he couldn't get cast after that.
Tony Perkins.
Everybody, as soon as they looked at him, oh, you're the Psycho guy. He couldn't get a part after that. So it is difficult. Look, there's people who've done commercials who get locked into a commercial and they can't get out of it. You know, Progressive Insurance. There's some guy, they get locked into it. Now, is that bad? Well, you know, if you're making, you know, $200-300 grand a year on commercials, you know, and you got residuals piling up and they're, you know, or you're doing a syndicated show of some sort and that's going to, no, that's not so bad.
Right.
I would say it's good from the point of view, again, just my opinion, that if you get, you know, so, you know, take for example, take Matt LeBlanc, Joey Tribbiani, you get somebody like that and you constantly, no matter how many films you see him in, you constantly regard him as Joey. I think that gives some credit to his acting talents, you know, him as an actor, that he's able to take that role and, you know, make people believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy was in Taxi. Tony, what was his name?
Tony Danza? No, not Tony Danza. Was it
Yeah.
Tony Danza?
Yeah,
Okay.
Tony Danza. He was in Taxi, and exactly right. And he carried the same character over into Who's the Boss, into another television series.
Yeah.
So, you know, that happens. Happy Days from a long time ago gave fruit to Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah.
they came out of that, a bunch of different, all these spin-offs, from caricatures that are developed.
Sure.
And that's okay. Acting, like I said, it's a creative process. Why people want to do it, I can't explain it. I can't explain it for myself. I can't. I love doing it. It's a challenge. It's always been a challenge, but I've loved stuff all my life that scares me. So
I'm a big horror fan. I love all the blood and guts and that. But I mean, another film. It's one of your film guys, Living Quarantine. I've watched that, I don't know, 2-3 times now, and you do feel that they are an actual. I know they're portrayed as a couple in the film.
Thank you.
But you do feel like they are an actual couple, and you worry for them. You're actually sitting watching it, saying, "I hope they work things out and stuff."
Thanks.
And I think that's important, that you get pulled into the, even though you're not a family member or anything like that, but you get pulled into that role and think, "That's crap." I hope they can work it out, because they're a really nice couple. And then you think, "Hold on, it's a film," but it still draws you in.
I'm so glad you told me this, because Craig and I have both been wondering who that fan was, who that person was that was
That's
watching.
me. I'm the one that watched it.
Me too.
I'm the guy that watched it.
Thank you.
You're-
Now we know, Craig.
Now we know.
But and the same with Craig. I always think he's homeless, and he lives in bushes. Sorry, Craig, I had to mention that again.
No,
I try to avoid it.
I'm right at home
But
in the bushes.
When first time I had him, had his on the show, and I saw he actually had a house. But I thought you lived in a bush.
Yeah, so if you hear at night something rattling around outside your bedroom window in the bushes,
It's a safe bet.
We've got a wee Jack. I was going to say Jack Sparrow. Got Jack Russell. Don't know what is no. But no, I mean, Living Quarantine, I really enjoyed it, because you started to worry for them. You felt sorry for both of them, and it was a touchy subject back then with the pandemic and all the rest of it. But I think that shows the merit of the actor as well, and the way it's written and directed as well. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's not just the couple that made it; it's the whole package, basically. And I think that's important, if you can draw that audience in. Which you guys say, I mean, look at the Crumbs as well. You would actually believe they were serial killers. Well, they were serial killers, but if you meet them in real life, you'd be kind of like, you kill people,
thanks. We were proud of that cast. I mean, we're proud of every actor that's worked with us. They've all gave their 120%, and the crew as well. But the Crumbs cast really went through a whole lot to get that thing done, and the quality of their work. To this day, I always talk about, because I love their work. All of them, they're just amazing. I mean, some of those people, what they did and what they brought to it every day. I just felt so fortunate to have them working on that. So, Placerville was an experience shooting that with them, and then I think the height of it all came though when we put Craig in the bushes. It had to be the best time.
Well, I know we're talking about how actors, a lot of them are self-centered. So I am weighing my words where this doesn't sound like it's all about me, but it sort of is all about me. All of the reviews that we had were largely focused on that character. So we had a lot of good feedback on the homeless guy. That much I know to be true.
Well, he's also a question mark.
I'm punking you guys.
No. Ow, 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 stop it. Ow, ow.
And I still have, and I don't even like to.
Still get the outfit.
That whole wardrobe I still have.
Told you that.
I have it. So as I go through and look at possible auditions, if I see something juicy, lead role for a homeless guy. Right here. You know, a guy down and out was, you know, once had a job, and maybe due to a setback and found himself down and out. Giddy up. I got it all. I got me the wardrobe. I got the shoes. I'm good to go.
I don't know if I'd be, you know, I've got a comment for Laura with stick up, but I don't know if I'd be insulted, Craig, you know, if somebody was to say, you know, you look like a homeless guy and stuff like that, you suit the role. You know what I mean? I'd be like, you know,
yeah. Hey, we're actors.
Me?
If the pay's right, we put on the tutu. We're actors.
Or in Craig's case, he puts on the bush.
Yeah.
Well, I say, I'm a small-time writer waiting for PIs myself. I've been told I'm good enough to be published, but it's a half-field and certainly not one I want drawn into. But it's the fear factor. But what Laura's saying, you know, writing-wise, it's a hard industry. Obviously, you guys know firsthand. There'll be a lot of backstabbing and cutthroats and all the rest of it, and people trying to get off the ground, you know. And I mean, to be honest, it reminds me of Formula One. I'm a big Formula One fan. I don't know if you guys watch it or not.
Yeah.
But you see the glamorous side of Formula One, you know, the drivers, the cars, the crowds, everything, the fans. But there's a thing on Netflix called Drive to Survive. And it gives you the background story of what really goes on. And these you know, these drivers, you know, the best job in the world, they're paid millions for it, etc. But there's a lot of work goes into it. They don't just turn up and drive a car. You know, they need to have sponsors. They need to, you know, work out 7 days a week. And, you know, so, I mean, it's a lot like that. People don't appreciate the background there. They just see the glamour, same as the Oscars. They see the red carpet, you know, everybody turning up, but they don't see what's actually going on behind the curtain.
Oh,
that makes sense.
You're so right. You hit on it. I'm just going to say this. It's like you get these smiling faces after, you know, and you're working with these people and they're smiling at you. And then one morning you wake up and you feel you're a demon fighter and that you're just fighting demons, you know, outside, inside, with you, around you. It's like, wait a minute. Is this a movie? What's going on here? You know, you got to watch people all around you. After a while, it's like, no, that's no fun. You know. By the way, we made a movie like that, Demon Fighter, a guy fighting demons. Yeah.
Yeah, we John on Miami. I need to speak to you two guys about actually. Our daughter started doing podcasts. She's only 10, but she turned 10 last week, and John is on last week. She wants you two guys to come on as her guest. Now, I will warn you, she's 10 years old. I don't do the questions. She take care of the questions. So she wants to interview you two guys.
Tell her to watch this first, and then she may want to change her mind. Okay.
No, she was watching. She commented. She says hi. That's her comment there.
Hi, Tim.
So she is sitting up watching. Then she's going to bed because tomorrow's a school day. But she wants to interview you two guys. So sorry, guys, you've had it now. She's harmless. She's fine.
I'm kidding. She's 10. That's scary.
Well, she's 10. Laura and Craig will tell you, you know, because they see her all the time. They're auntie and uncle, and she's 10 going on 15, 16. You know, a lot of kids are these days, you know. Yeah. So I need to book his in for her, or she'll never talk to me again. But I mean, do you not find it's easier to work with people that aren't career driven? They're passionate about acting. You know, they want to act, they want to do a good job, but they're no, right, I want to get to Hollywood. This is my only aim in life. I want to walk that red carpet. Do you know how it's better working with people who say, right, well, I might never make it to Hollywood, but this is what I want to do?
Craig, you and I both have worked with a lot of different people, and 5% of the industry are successful.
Yeah.
That's a general approximation. That means the other 95% starving to death, scratching and scraping, trying to make some money or get a part. That doesn't mean they're not talented. That doesn't mean they're not deserving. It's just the way the industry is. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it other than lots of luck. Arm yourself. Have another thing you can do, another trade or profession that you can do. And if you're truly a younger person from your teens up and into your 30s, and you really are serious about being an actor, unless you marry an actor, don't get married. Straight out. It will conflict with your relationships. It will conflict with your family. It will conflict with everything, because acting is all art is a very selfish endeavor. And unless you have somebody who is 150% behind you and what you want to pursue, it's not going to work out.
But I'll tell you, Scott, the link, and I agree with everything David said, but my background was a mortgage banker for years. And the linkage that I spotted in my initial acting class, and I was invited to it by a very good friend of mine who had a very successful acting career, but I didn't know he had an acting class. But that initial class I was in, the trend I saw, the actors that were successful in working were the ones outside of class, worked really, really hard outside of class, meeting with other actors, running their lines, studying, just really worked hard outside of class. Mm-hmm. They didn't just show up in class and magically think, oh, I'm going to be a good actor. They worked hard outside of class. And the ones that just showed up to class, not being prepared and such, they were not good, they were not prepared, and they weren't booking roles. So like anything else in life, if you're a good attorney, if you're good at anything, there's a reason why you're successful. Yeah, okay, if somebody has natural talent, well, good luck with that. But everybody else, if you're going to be successful, if you have passion to be good at something, you work hard at it. Look at all the Olympic athletes competing right now. They worked hard. They didn't just show up like, I skate a couple times. No, they worked hard. And like David's point, my God, he kicked my ass early on. I didn't have aspirations like, I'm going to win an Oscar. I didn't want to suck. It was hard. It's still hard. Memorizing lines and make them sound natural like we're talking right now. I mean, memorizing all that. David did a monologue, a 4.5-minute monologue for this a while back. And I'm still impressed. Like, whoa, that all that is not for the average person. So if you want to go ahead.
No, sorry, Craig, go. I've got a question from Laura before we finish up.
Well, go ahead, Craig. Jump in.
No, I know you about learning lines. I mean, we did Dark to Smile a few years back. We wrote a wee script. We talked about this before in a previous show with you guys, and I did the kind of voiceover for the opening. Now, it was only maybe 2 paragraphs. It wasn't big, it wasn't major. But I could sit and try and memorise it, and could I do it? I could not. I read it a couple of times, right, I've got it. And then you try to read it back in your head, you think, where's my bit of paper? I didn't read this. So I ended up sitting at the kitchen table, recording it, but reading it at the same, and so, I mean, I know what you're saying, you guys, about people having to learn lines. I mean, there's films out there, and, maybe 2 or 3 main actors have got a skip full of lines, a ship full of lines. I said shit, I really said something there. Ship full of lines. And these guys, I mean, obviously they'll go home they'll get back to the hotel, wherever, between shooting and, top up refresh their memory, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's for the average person to remember. See, I was like 2 paragraphs, and I was
Yeah.
I have to keep going back. But I've got quick. I know we're kind of limited for time. I watched the time because you've got the dentist, Craig, as well, haven't you? Everybody's favourite practitioner, the dentist. Because her daughter loves going to the dentist. She's 10, but she's every time she was there today. Every time she's got a dental appointment, she's buzzing. Oh, I have to go to the dentist today. Most kids dread it. She loves it. But hey ho, Laura wants to know: have either of you had anything happen to you you can't explain in a paranormal sense? I just hit the table with my fist, your hand. Have you ever had anything spooky happen to you?
No, it's that. Tell them about the evil down the street, Craig.
What would you like me to touch on?
The book in the library, the mirror on the wall.
Yeah. Well, book in the library, the mirror that supposedly was permanently affixed on the wall that slid down the wall. David and our makeup artist at this boys' camp that we shot the basement in, hearing voices. But yeah, the interesting, that kind of blows your mind, was our lead actor randomly pulls a book off the shelf, and the passage that he opened wasn't it marrying a demon, David?
Yes.
Wasn't that
Yes.
yeah, marrying of all the gin joints you walk in, of all the books to pull, was marrying a demon. How do these things happen in our
It
film?
was totally weird, and it wasn't our library. We didn't set
It was
it up.
not our library, and
Yeah.
he's just supposed to pull a book off the shelf, like randomly reading it, and it was this book.
Right to the page.
And the other part is this house we rented. What kind of a person has a book a book like this on your shelf? That's a whole other story. But
A lot of scary people out there.
Oh,
yeah, let's look at
That
But isn't that bizarre?
so some people, a lot of skeptics out there. Everybody's got their own point of view. Some believe, some don't believe. That's fair. It's fine. It's fair enough. Some people might just say, "Oh, that's just sheer coincidence."
Yeah.
You've got people that, "Oh, it's just sheer coincidence." But then you sit back and think about it, and you think, "Is it? But is it sheer? What's the chances? 1 in a million, 1 in a trillion of that actually? That particular book or that particular page for a whole host of different books, So it does make you think. And you do read about films, The Exorcist, The Poltergeist. These films are said to be cursed, But
I think that energy has, a twofold effect: a positive and a negative flow of energy. And I think it accumulates and stores in areas that can't release it. And oftentimes I think that people who show up in an environment that is subjecting itself to that energy, then that energy will find a way out. And I think that's what happened with us, absolutely. Because the things that went on, we weren't looking for.
No.
They just occurred. And there was a couple of different things that Craig, he hit on, but there were some scary things happening, and it wasn't anything we planned.
Well, again, back to that mirror, we had camera crew, we had actors, and the owner of the house said, "Don't worry about the mirror; it's permanently affixed to the wall." We're upstairs shooting a scene, and we heard the mirror slide along the wall, hitting the floor. And then, oh crap, the mirror is going to be shattered. We go down there. The mirror is now, resting on the floor. Thankfully, it's not cracked, but it's certainly not permanently affixed to the wall anymore. And I've never been a sort of guy like, well, that's a weird coincidence. I'm not a coincidence guy. I've lived life that everything happens for a reason. We all have how we live our lives, and I really don't much care how another person interprets their life, but I don't believe in coincidences. And so when that happened, I said, "Thank you, baby Jesus. The mirror isn't shattered." But the owner made a point like, don't worry about the mirror. You can't, nothing's going to happen. Well, guess what? It's no longer affixed to your wall. So there.
But you see, something like that, you can't explain it.
You can't explain
You know,
it.
it shouldn't happen.
I mean, you couple that with a book on the shelf, going out to, what was that, Boys Reformatory, David?
Yeah, it was an old reform school that was closed down.
Closed down.
Yeah, it
and
was
David and the makeup artist,
in the high desert.
We're hearing voices. We had to go shoot out there 2 or 3 days, and so you tie all that together. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going on, you know.
Yeah, not cussing a lot about William Custer, someone serious cussing.
And we're not exactly doing a Broadway musical to boot, so there you go.
Well, I see, that doesn't make sense. You know, it shouldn't have happened. You know, and we just a very, very quick example before we wind up. We did a place, there's a house, an abandoned house in England. They call it the Ivy House. It's called the Screaming House as well. We investigated there about 3 years ago, and it's two floors. Down the stairs, there's 2 big main rooms. We put a locked-off camera in each room and left them running. Everybody, there was 12 of us. Everybody was up the stairs. We watched back the footage of one of the cameras, and the microphone attached with microphones on them as well. And in one of the cameras, you can hear quite clearly footsteps coming out of the room, and it sounded like the old wooden heels, wooden shoes. Then you hear what can only describe as a young girl kind of playfully giggling for about 2-3 seconds. The camera, the light moves, but the camera doesn't, which we found strange as well, because the light is actually attached to the camera. So to move the light, the camera would need to.
Oh, brother.
And then you hear the giggle, and then the footsteps of if I'm leaving the room. Well, there was nobody else in that house.
Here's a thought before we go, because I know Craig's got to go. He's got a dental appointment. If anybody out there believes in spirituality, you believe in God, you believe in Jesus, or whatever it is, you believe in spirituality, how could you not believe in the paranormal? Yeah. When in fact, spirituality is the paranormal. Yeah. That's just my thought for the day. And I can't tell you how much it was a pleasure to be here with you again, Scott, and to see you.
Always a pleasure having you gentlemen on. I'm going to get you back on. I'll throw you a couple of dates. But we'll wind it up there. So anybody who wants to see some quality film with CRA Entertainment, just Google them and I'll tell you we can watch their films. I highly recommend them. And that's us for tonight. You will be seeing these 2 young gentlemen again. And wish Craig luck at the dentist.
Yes, this is not going to be fun today.
That's all I'm going to say. I mean, so we'll say good night, guys. All right, and take care.
Peace.
Bye.
Thank you, Scott.